There's things that we can do to be preventative. How many times have we heard have 2 weeks of supply if you have a hurricane? The only thing I would say to the person asking the question is, we've heard that for how long? Do we all have 2 weeks of supply? Probably not. And so I say that because nobody saw this coming. And if we did, we wouldn't have this situation, but this is a tragedy. And so we do everything we can to mitigate the threats when they come. But this was not one of those, if it's predictable, it's preventable. Nobody saw this coming, period.
Mahalo, I'm going to go this side of the room. Right back there. You, yes.
Hi there, Governor, fellow dignitaries, Justin Michaels from the Weather Channel. And you may have covered this. If you have, I apologize. Is there a handle yet on how many people are still missing at this hour?
He's going to defer that to me, I guess.
Sure, whomever.
So honestly, we don't know. And here's the challenge. There's no power. There's no internet. There's no radio coverage. Our pack sets, we're having a hard time getting through on that. The fire burned 2 fires or 3 fires ago, fiber optic cables, which we're in the process on this budget to start replacing some of those. And so now you compound some of that. And so when we're speaking to our officers over there, we're actually having them to get to a certain area so we can get on a sat phone as we're recovering. So I would say that we've got approximately, and this is a very fluid number, but let's say there's 1,000 missing people. Doesn't mean that's how many that we have that have passed. I'm not saying that number at all. But because we can't contact them, and because they can't necessarily come into the Greater Valley as quickly or as much as we'd like, because they're actually in shelter, until we get some of those basic things set up, we're not going to have that number. But the nice, solution to that is we have a family assistance center set up, and so anybody that's missing anybody, we would direct you there. We'll make sure that you have that information provided. People can go there and give the information of those that they're seeking to find, and as we are able to reunify, we will, and if we have to make certain notifications from there, we will do that as well.
I am going to jump here.
Wendy Osher, Pacific Media Group in Maui now. I'm just wondering if you could, I know you guys have done reconnaissance, maybe the fire department or the mayor can answer this. Walk us through Front Street, Lahaina. What specific neighborhoods are gone? Was it sporadic? Was it every other house? Was it the entire area? Can you give us a better idea of what we're looking at?
It's all gone.
What
From
about
Puamana to the chart house.
How about going up Malka, like Lahaina Luna Road? How far?
The cutoff was the area, well, what we could see today was the highway. So the winds looked like they came from Malka down to Makai. Some of the parts were open, but let's say Keawe Street. In that area, there was one structure that is irreparable, the harm there, but others were intact. But the older neighborhood from the Lahaina Luna Road, from the road down to Front Street, everything there is destroyed.
What about the Lahaina Luna area? That's
I gotta let Makana ask you who she picks up. So I gotta follow.
Are you together as a
no,
follow-up?
just to follow it, because I'm not clear
Okay,
what
can
he's
you
saying.
please identify yourself?
Yeah, it's Paul Aker with Maui Alert.
Alrighty.
So those houses in that subdivision by the bypass, how much of that is gone as well?
So you're referring to the Lahaina Luna Road neighborhood.
Correct.
So the fire did start above that, and some of the first homes that caught on fire were in that neighborhood. And from those upper houses, it did go into the Kahoma area, and it also extended to Wahikuli, which is above the highway, closer to the fire station. So that kind of answers your question.
Any other, before we let you go, any other specific questions related to this? Any piggyback questions? Go ahead.
Daryl Huff from Hawaii News Now. In this regard, the wildly different death estimates that have been given, 6, 36, I don't even know where we are today. Can we please get a confirmed death number that you do know? And number two, where are the maps, and can people see these maps that they've used to identify the structures? Because we've also had widely disparate estimates of how many structures have been damaged. So, you know, the public is concerned because one day they hear 271 structures. The next day, there's public statements to thousands of structures. So what data do you have that's firm, and what is the process you're gonna go through, other than trying to find all the missing people and decide if they're dead?
Okay, there's a lot there that you just kind of threw on a, hey, let me back this up. So real quick, 53 right now is confirmed. If the mayor or myself do not give you that number, it's not accurate. There's a lot of people that are in a rush to get news fast. I get it, totally get it, sensational. You want it faster, you want it right. We're gonna do it right. We're gonna take our time, we're gonna do it right. We'll get you the aerial maps when we can. When the mayor said it's all gone, it's all gone. It's all gone. It's gone. So, do I know exactly how many buildings? We'll get that. But we're gonna get it right, we're gonna get it in time. And so,
I want to jump on with the chief. No, I'm going to jump on with the chief. If you just want to say, the reason the numbers vary is some people say, how many residences are gone? Well, if you got a condominium or an apartment building that has 20 units, is that a structure or is that 20 units? You decide how you want to count that. In this case, it doesn't matter because the whole thing is gone. Is a store, we're going to count that as a structure. A home is a residence. Or we just want to call everything structures. So it really depends the way you phrase the question. That's the answer you're going to get. But the easy part is, I'm telling you, none of it's there. It's all burnt to the ground.
I absolutely understand, Mayor. The people we've been talking to out in the community are trying to discern for themselves their own personal loss.
Understood.
And earlier, I think someone described these maps. And I think that they would be very helpful to people to see the map. They know whether their relative lived next to a condo or in a condo or down the street, but see the map. You know, and then maybe that would help you because people will call and say, I know grandma was in that map. I think you should look at her house. It's just a matter of public information flowing back and forth to help you out. And that's why I'm wondering why that public information has not been coming in such a way that it can help the people help you.
Thank you, Daryl. Go ahead.
I wanted to just clarify, 53,
Sorry, name and organization.
Paula Ramon, ASB. I wanted to clarify, 53 people died in Lahaina's fire only so far. I know the number will probably rise. And also, do you have an estimate how many people are still trapped in there?
So 53 confirmed in the Lahaina town, the greater Lahaina town that we're referring to. So far, we've recovered 53 confirmed. I do not know, and that's the issue. And so because of the assistance of FEMA, we've got some of the professionals coming in that have done these things in the past, some of the equipment, because realize this, right now we've got Maui Search and Rescue, we got the police department, we got some folks from the National Guard. My cops answer calls for service. They go chase bad guys. They go build cases. We don't normally, it's a crisis, I understand that, go into buildings and pull out, you know, some of the bodies. So we got to do it as safely and as possible as we can. So we know at this point we're going to need to do that. But we've got to do it slow and methodical because we got to make sure that we respect everything and we bring everybody to the resting place the right way. And so therein lies part of the issue. So it's 53. It is rising. I do not know what the final number is going to be. And it's going to be horrible and tragic when we get that number. Because every one of those, it's not 53. It's 53 families, friends, it's a community. And so the amount of loss is incredible. And it's going to be devastating.
I'm going to go right back here in this corner. Mm-hmm.
Bridget Amata, KHON. This question is for Mayor Bisson. Mayor, quite a few Maui residents and visitors, particularly the ones that have been sleeping on their car on the entrance to Lahaina, they have said that this disaster response has been chaotic, and they're frustrated with what they say is lack of direction and lack of communication. I think they just want to hear from you. What is your message to them?
We've opened several shelters. We've had to close some of them because of the fire that we didn't anticipate. For example, the Lahaina Civic Center. But what I'll say to people in their cars is they have a choice to come to the shelters or not to come to the shelters. Some people are waiting because they think the road's going to open right away, and they think the power's going to come back on and the water's going to come back. Most of the people have no idea what happened to Lahaina Town. So they think this is one of those situations where we'll wait it out for a couple hours like a traffic jam. I think once they find out what we all know now, they will come to the shelters. So I don't know if it's a lack of communication or if it's a personal decision that people make to wait it out. Because we do have shelters that we've made available. And on the first night, there was 2,100 people there. So at least 2,100 people found the communication to be adequate to show up. So the folks that didn't come, I'm going to say it was more a result of a personal choice. Even people who come to the shelters don't come inside. They stay in their cars in the parking lot. Again, a personal choice. Maybe they don't want to be around 100 or 1,000 other people. I understand all of that. I understand the human nature of this that's happening to people. Most people are still in shock. They can't even believe it. Most people want to hurry up and get back to their house. They want to see for themselves, just like all of you want. You almost want to see it for yourselves. Is that really what happened? Are they really telling us everything that happened? We're telling you everything that happened. My message to those folks is go to mauicounty.gov, which is the website that we've informed everybody to go to. It's very clear, it's very explicit. You can go to the one closest to where you live if you're up country, or you can come to one in central Maui. We had to close two of them in the west side because one it was temporary, and the other is because the fire came up to it. So we had to readjust.